Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. So my topic of this is life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So I will continue from where we left off. The last time when I presented, I got to the stage where Hazrat Abu Talib and Hazrat Khadija's death. So we're going to continue from there onward. So let's start. So we discussed how the Prophet ﷺ, Uncle Abu Talib and his wife passed away. We we discussed the death of Abu Talib, after which the protection of the Holy Prophet enjoyed ceaselessly. So remember that it was a tribal system. It was a tribal system, and everything is based on protection and your tribal affiliation. So when Holy Prophet's uncle passed away, Hazrat Abu Talib, he lost his protection. That was the biggest thing. So initially his uncle, Abu Lahab, felt obligated to give him the same protection. But within a couple of weeks he withdrew it. So Abu Lahab, even he was enemy, but he thought he's a Banu Hashim, in the same tribe. So he thought it's my job to take care of him. But then he was convinced by Abu Jahl and others that he's against your forefathers, what are you doing? So he withdrew that protection. So that was only lasted, some say 2 weeks, some say 3 weeks. So it's less than 2-3 weeks. So the life in Mecca became almost impossible. And this is when the Prophet ﷺ began thinking of leaving Mecca. So now he has no protection. So now his life is in danger. So he was thinking of leaving Mecca. So after the year of sorrow, so the year when Hazrat Abu Talib and Hazrat Khadija died is called Ummul Huzn. So that year is called year of sorrow. And the trial of Taif, Allah blessed Holy Prophet ﷺ with two great miracles. So then the two big miracles happened. Indeed, after the lowest of all lows of being down, it was only natural the Prophet be gifted by an all-time high. And in some ways, this was the all-time high. Of course, there are multiple victories and miracles. But after all of these personal losses, Allah blessed him with two miracles. That was given to Holy Prophet ﷺ personally. And that is the incident of Al-Isra and Al-Miraj. So today I'm going to talk in more detail about Al-Isra and Miraj. For the Isra, Allah revealed an entire surah. The surah is called Surah Bani Israel, chapter 17. The surah begins with the famous words, "Glory be to him who carried his servant by night from the sacred mosque to the distant mosque." Allah blessed his servant with the miraculous journey. The study of Holy Quran and authentic ahadith and reliable historical narrations. The established fact of the matter is that the Miraj and Isra are two separate occurrences. So we strongly believe that these are two separate instances. Some scholars and some believe that it's a one incident. But we strongly believe there are two separate instances. The Miraj is the name of the spiritual journey of the Holy Prophet, in which he was taken from Mecca to the heavens, and then eventually was presented in the court of the Lord of all the worlds. The Isra is another journey in which the Holy Prophet was taken from Mecca to Jerusalem, under various wisdoms. Similarly, in Sirat Ibn Hisham, which is one of the most well-known books among the world of Sirats, the Miraj and Isra have been discussed completely separately from one another. So here's the story of Miraj. So I'll cover Miraj first. So one night, Holy Prophet ﷺ was resting in a section of a Masjid Haram, referred to as Hatim. So if those who have been to Mecca, they see the Kaaba, and then there is like a U-shaped open area. That's called Hatim. It used to be part of the Kaaba back in old days, and then they reconstructed, they ran out of money or stuff, and so they left that place alone. So that place is called Hatim. And praying over there is considered like you're praying inside a Kaaba. So that's why whenever you go there or whenever you show on YouTube, you always see that that place is the busiest place. So he was in the middle. He was in a middle state of sleep and wakefulness. In other words, the eye of the Holy Prophet was sleeping, but his heart was awake. When the Holy Prophet saw Angel Gabriel appear, Angel approached the Holy Prophet and woke him up, brought him to the fountain of Zamzam, cut open his chest, after which he thoroughly cleansed the heart of Holy Prophet ﷺ with pure water. After this, a golden platter full of faith and wisdom was brought. Gabriel filled the heart of the Holy Prophet with this treasure of wisdom and faith, and then sealed the breast of Holy Prophet ﷺ. Then ascended into the heavens with the Holy Prophet ﷺ. Upon reaching the door of the first heaven, he knocked. The gatekeeper inquired, "Who is it?" Gabriel responded, "It is I, Gabriel, and with me is Muhammad." The gatekeeper inquired, "Has Muhammad been summoned?" The Gabriel answered in the affirmative. At this, the gatekeeper opened the door and welcomed Holy Prophet ﷺ. When the Holy Prophet entered, he saw an elderly man who addressed him, saying, "Welcome, O righteous Prophet, welcome, O righteous son." The Holy Prophet was presented with him with the greeting of peace. The shadow of the large number of spirits fell upon this man. When he looked at his right, his face would glow in delight. When he looked at his left, his face would shrivel in grief. The Holy Prophet asked Gabriel, "Who is this honorable man?" Gabriel answered, "This is Adam." After this, the Gabriel took Holy Prophet forward. At the gate of the second heaven, he was confronted with the same occurrence. Upon entering, the Holy Prophet saw two men who were warmly received him, say, "O welcome, righteous Prophet, O welcome, righteous brother." The Holy Prophet also presented them greetings of peace, and Gabriel told them that this is Jesus and John, who are cousins. Similarly, Gabriel took the Holy Prophet with him to the third, fourth, and fifth heavens, where he met Joseph, Enoch, Aaron correspondingly. At the sixth heaven, the Holy Prophet met Moses, and he welcomed him in the same manner. Holy Prophet also gave him greeting of peace. After this, the Holy Prophet entered the seventh heaven, where he met Abraham, who was leaning against the Baitul Ma'mur. The Baitul Ma'mur was the center of heavenly place of worship, for which the Kaaba is erected in this world as a symbolic representation. Abraham also greeted Holy Prophet in the same way as Adam. After this, the Holy Prophet moved forward and reached where no man had laid foot before. The Holy Prophet saw a laurel tree, which was as if the final point of relation between the heaven and the world. From it began the final abode of paradise. There were 4 rivers flowing beneath this tree. Gabriel told the Holy Prophet that among these 2 rivers are the physical rivers of these worlds, the river Nile and Euphrates. They are located in Africa and Iraq. The other 2 are hidden rivers which flow to the paradise. At this instance, the Holy Prophet witnessed Gabriel in his actual figure and form. The Holy Prophet saw that the Gabriel was adorned with 600 wings. After this, Holy Prophet was given a tour of paradise. In the end, the Holy Prophet witnessed that he was presented in the royal court of Allah the Almighty. The Allah the Exalted directly spoke to the Holy Prophet and gave him the various glad tidings. Eventually, he was informed by the God the Almighty that the 50 prayers had been prescribed for the community of the Holy Prophet for day and night. When the Holy Prophet returned with these injunctions, Moses stopped him on the way back and inquired, "What injunction have you been given?" The Holy Prophet related the ordainment of the 50 prayers. When Moses heard this, he was startled and said, "I am experienced on the account of my dealing with Bani Israel. In no way shall your community be able to bear so many prayers. Thus go back and request God to lighten these commands." The Holy Prophet returned after, by a reduction of 10, Allah the Exalted ordained 40 prayers. However, on the way back, Moses stopped the Holy Prophet again and said, Even these are too many. Go back and request for further leniency. Upon this, Holy Prophet returned again, and a reduction of 10 further prayers was approved. Therefore, in this manner, on the suggestion of Moses, the Holy Prophet would return to the court of God again and again until the final 5 prayers were ordained. Upon this, Moses stopped the Holy Prophet once more and proposed that he return again to the request for the leniency, and said, I have seen the Bani Israel. They were not able to perform even less worship than this. So even Moses is saying that 5 is too many, go back and ask for less, because he had experienced his people were not praying enough. But they were equivalent to the 50. So Holy Prophet said, now I feel embarrassed to return again. At this, a hidden voice was heard that, O Muhammad, these are 5 prayers, but they are equal to 50, for we have fixed a reward of 10 prayers for every 1 prayer. In this manner, our servants have received leniency, and our actual order has been upheld. After this, passing through the different heavens, when the Holy Prophet came down again, his eyes were opened, meaning this is the state of vision, he begins to fade. The Holy Prophet noticed that he was still resting in the Masjid al-Haram, just as before. And this is hadith is detailed reported in Bukhari, Sahih Bukhari. So the eyes were opened and all that. So Hazrat Khalifa Rabi has explained in detail that this whole incident was a spiritual experience. It wasn't a physical, as some people believe that it was Holy Prophet visiting and talking to physical people and physical prophets. It wasn't like that. It was all a spiritual journey. So that was Miraj. So now let's talk about the second occurrence of the Isra. Isra is also an Arabic word which means to take someone from one place to another by night, or to travel. It is narrated that one night Holy Prophet saw that an angel came to him, an animal larger than a donkey but smaller than a mule, named Barak, which was extremely beautiful, white colored, and of a long body, was presented before him. After this, the Holy Prophet mounted himself upon it, and along with Gabriel, he started off towards Jerusalem. En route, the Holy Prophet encountered an old lady. When he asked Gabriel, "Who's this?" Gabriel said, "Move forward, move forward." When the Holy Prophet moved forward, after some time, someone called him from one side of the path, saying, "Muhammad, come here." But Gabriel once again said, come on, move forward." Then the Holy Prophet moved forward. After some time, he met a group of people on the way, who greeted him in the following words: "O Awwal, the peace of God be on you. O Akhir, the peace of God be on you. O Hashir, the peace of God be on you." Gabriel instructed the Holy Prophet to respond to their greetings of peace. The Holy Prophet greeted them and then moved ahead. After some time, this very group met the Holy Prophet again and greeted him with the same words. After a little while, a third time, the same occurrence took place, after which the Holy Prophet reached Jerusalem. Here, Gabriel presented 3 cups before the Holy Prophet. In one was water, in the second was alcohol, and the third was milk. The Holy Prophet preferred the glass of milk and rejected the other 2. Gabriel said, "Oh, you have chosen that which is natural for if you had taken the water, your community would have drowned. If you have chosen the glass of alcohol, your community would have gone astray." Then Adam and the prophets after him were brought before the Holy Prophet, and he led them in the congregational prayers. So he led the congregational prayers of all the prophets. After this, Gabriel said, "The old lady that you saw on your way here was the world. Now the time remaining of this world is equivalent to the life of this old woman." So the life of this world is short and is very little, just like an old person. As one for the who called you to one side of the path, it was Satan, who wished you to divert your attention from your true path towards him. The group you met in the end and gave you greetings of peace were Abraham, Moses, and Jesus, the messenger of God. After this, Holy Prophet returned to Mecca. So these are the 2 occurrences of Isra and Miraj. So when he woke up after Isra, he was anxious that how he's going to tell the people that what has happened. So now this whole story happened, and he woke up and he said, "Well, how am I going to tell all this that I went to Jerusalem and I met all these prophets and I led the prayer. Nobody going to believe me. So the Prophet said he was sitting, he was nervous and very worried that Abu Jahl passed by and saw Holy Prophet in that grief-struck state. So Abu Jahl said in a sarcastic manner, even in sarcasm, said, "Hey, what is the matter with you? Has anything happened?" The Prophet said, "Yes, something has happened. Last night I was taken from here to Jerusalem." So Abu Jahl was shocked and said, "You are here amongst us now." So Abu Jahl said, "If I call your people, and will you tell them what exactly you have told me?" So Abu Jahl said that let me call all these people, because he was to make fun of him, that he's saying, "Hey, I went to Jerusalem and I'm back in one night and it's not possible. It's like a month-long journey from here to Jerusalem. How come he ended up there?" So he said that if I call, he was to make like fun of him. So he said, "If I call all these people, you're going to tell them the same story?" So Abu Jahl started screaming out to the people, "Come forth, we have an announcement to make." Mecca was a small city and Abu Jahl was a leading figure. So all the people passing by gathered with a curiosity. So Abu Jahl said, "Tell them what you promised me, you would." So the Prophet said, "Last night I went to Baitul Maqdis. I prayed in the Masjid al-Aqsa." So the people began reacting in different ways. Some began clapping. Others put their hands on their head in disbelief. And he said, what is he talking about? And others began snickering and laughing, and they started like murmuring, this is like a joking. What is he saying? They didn't know what to do. He was never known to have lied before. So people were in shock until one of them said, "Can you describe it for us?" Because everyone knew the Prophet had never been to Baitul Maqdis. So the Prophet began to describing in detail. At this point, in some narrations say that Allah helped him by showing the actual Baitul Maqdis in his eyes, so he can describe the details of that place. At this time, the news reached Abu Bakr. So Hazrat Abu Bakr heard that this is going on and all these people are hearing, and let's go there, what's going on. So it was before the Holy Prophet could tell Abu Bakr himself, one of the Quraysh came running and said, "Do you know your friend has just said what your friend has just said what? He claimed to have gone all the way to Jerusalem and back, a 2 months journey in one night." And Abu Bakr replied, "If he has said that, then it must be true." So the man said, "Do you believe him in such a claim?" Abu Bakr said, "I believe him in something even more amazing. He claims that the revelation from 7 heavens comes to him instantaneously." So Abu Bakr is saying, I believe him, he said the revelation is coming from 7 heavens. That's more amazing than somebody that's going to Jerusalem. So from this onward, Abu Bakr got the title of Siddiq. That he never questioned Holy Prophet ﷺ. He never asked, "Is it true? Is it personal? Are you sure? Do you know what you're talking about?" Every time Holy Prophet mentioned something, Hazrat Abu Bakr always said yes. So the Prophet tried presenting himself to the tribe. So when Holy Prophet returned to Mecca from Taif, Mutim bin Adi offered protection to the Holy Prophet. It was under the protection of Mutim bin Adi the Prophet lived rest of the life in Mecca. So when he came back from Taif, he needed protection. Without protection there is no chance of survival. So the Mutim bin Adi offered him that, "Hey, I will give you protection." However, this was a very precarious and awkward situation. Why? Because Holy Prophet's own tribe had abandoned him, and Quraysh were not happy with the situation. Also, Mutim was a very old man. In fact, after the Prophet's migration to Medina, Mutim passed away within the year before the Battle of Badr. So the Prophet realized he needed to leave Mecca. He tried Taif, but Taif had failed him. So what does he do now? The Prophet tried presenting himself to the tribes that came from Hajj, and he asked them to sponsor it, to transfer his allegiance. This was something known but very rare. Now Holy Prophet is meeting people at the Hajj and he's asking, "Hey, can you sponsor me? Can you take me with you? Can I be with you?" And it is very rare that he's asking to change his tribal affiliation. That's very unheard of. The others had this concept that sometimes someone changed tribes for a marriage or political reason. But this was rare. Nevertheless, Prophet tried to utilize his concept by approaching the various people that came for Hajj. In another narration reported in many books, the Holy Prophet ﷺ said, "Who will take me so that I may preach the message of Allah, because Quraysh had stopped me from doing this. So the Prophet approached many tribes, but all of them rejected the message. Some of them even more harshly than others. So the main story of this, of course, is the story of the small group who came from a city called Yathrib. So there are few people came from Yathrib, the present-day Medina. At that time it was called Yathrib. The Prophet ﷺ was not too familiar with them. Even though he had visited it once or twice, he had relatives there from his mom's side. But before we reach there, let's discuss the city as it was. The city of Yathrib was composed of three main groups of people. So at that time, the city of Yathrib was three groups of people, two of whom were Arab and one large group of Jews. The Arab tribes were Aus and Khazraj, and Jews were Banu Nazir, Banu Qurayza, and Banu Qurayza. The city has been flourishing city, relatively modern. So the year that Abu Talib died, the 10th year of Dawah, the Prophet met the first group of the people from Yathrib. So after Abu Talib's death, few weeks after, couple of months after, he met the first group of people who would convert to Islam. The main thing that facilitated this conversation was the Battle of Bath. The battle was a civil war between Aus and Khazraj. Small things happened between each other, and this built up more and more until finally there was a major battle, the Battle of Bath. This battle took place around 4 or 5 years before the Hijrah, around 3 years before the meeting of the Prophet with these people. Hazrat Aisha radiallahu ta'ala said, the day of Bath was a gift by Allah. It was because of the birth their unity had been destroyed. The battle killed the senior member of Aus and Khazraj, and those who were left were the younger generation who had seen 10 years of blood and war. They were sick of it. They want something new, something that will give them meaning and purpose in life. So they were very tired of fighting and really tired of killing each other. There was one senior member left after the battle. His name was Abdullah bin Ubay bin Salul. And it was his seniority that gave him his arrogance. In terms of rank, he was the undisputed leader of Medina, or Yathrib at that time. Were it not for Islam, eventually, of course, he could become the leader of the hypocrite. He became the leader of hypocrite. But if it wasn't Islam, he could have become the leader of Medina, or Yathrib. So the main conversion took place in the 10th year of the preaching. The same year Abu Talib dies. During the Hajj season, the Prophet Muhammad is making his round in Mina, looking for help and protection. So he's going to the major tribes and sees small tribes near Aqaba. This is the place where we throw stones at Satan now. They said, we are from Khazraj. And then the Prophet said, may I speak to you? And they said, yes. So the Prophet sat down, explained to them the teachings of Islam, recited Holy Quran, explained the concept of Tawheed, warned them against shirk, all with the same passion and zeal, even though they were only 6 people, without a tent. This wasn't a rich tribe. No, the Khazraj were a poor tribe. They consisted more of farmers and laborers, while the Aus were more of the businessmen. All these 6 people converted to Islam. One of the 6 was some of the 6 were some of the famous Ansars. Their names are Uqba bin Amr, Jabir bin Abdullah, Asad bin Zurara. These are some of the famous. And they converted and went back and spread the message until in the next few months, everybody in the city of Yathrib had heard of the new message. So these 6 people converted, they took the message, they went back, they started talking about Holy Prophet, because they were tired of fighting, they were tired of killing each other, they need someone who can come from outside, help them establish peace. So Prophet ﷺ said, Allah showed him that he will be accepted by other tribes. He saw a land of greenery. So one night he saw in a dream a land of greenery. So he thought it would be Yemen, when in reality it was Yasrib. The next year the double amount of people came to Mecca. As we mentioned, the 6 people of Khazraj went back to their people and spread the message of Islam. The next year they sent a message to the Prophet that we are coming back for Hajj with 12 people, all of whom have been converted. This is amazing, as this was the largest group of people outside Mecca to convert since the beginning of Islam. So these 12 people, they told Holy Prophet, we are coming, we're going to come and see you. And these were 12 were already converted. So they said, we are coming to see you. And that was a big thing because it was the first time this many people coming from outside. Never have 12 converted from any group outside Mecca or Quraysh. Therefore, in the 11th year, 2 years before the Hijrah, 10 people from Khazraj and 2 people from Aus came and met with Holy Prophet. In this meeting with the Prophet, peace be upon him, this was the first time a formal conversion took place. In those times, whenever anyone converted, they would give an oath by placing their hand, like we do today nowadays when we do bath, put the hands out and share his hand. When these people converted to Islam, the Prophet ﷺ chose Mujeeb bin Umair to teach them the Quran and Salah. So Mujeeb bin Umair was sent with them as part of go to the Medina with them and teach them Quran and Islam and all that. It is narrated within a few weeks of Mujeeb's reaching Yasrib, 40 people had converted to Islam. Therefore, the Prophet ﷺ told them that they may establish the Jummah Salat. So the very first Jummah was delivered by Mujeeb, not by Holy Prophets. So the first ever Jummah in Islam was done by Mujeeb bin Umair. Because in Quraysh or in Mecca, there was no chance of praying in a group or in congregation. Note that the Asad bin Zurair was housing Asad bin Zurara, one of the first 6 converts, was housing Mujeeb at Medina. So he was his host. So Mujeeb converted a good amount of people of Yasrib. Therefore, in the 3rd year, the second Ba'ath of Uqaba, the 12th year of Dawah, around 75 Muslims came to give their Ba'ath to Holy Prophet in Mecca. Thus, in the 12th year of Dawah, just few months before the migration, because the Hijrah took place in the first month of 13th year. So within the few months of the second Ba'ath, the famous migration happened. These new converts demanded that the Holy Prophet must come to Yasrib, where they promised to sacrifice their lives for him. Indeed, Allah provides, but we do not know from where. We see how within 2.5 years, an entire city demanding Holy Prophet to be their leader. So 2.5 years earlier, he was looking for it. He was begging people. He was asking, take me with me. He's asking for protection. His uncle passed away. He's in trouble. Taif is giving him a very hard time. And within 2.5 years, a city is begging him, please come, be our leader. We need you. So Ka'b bin Malik, who was also one of those who converted, the famous companion, narrates this story. And he said, when we went for Hajj, we hid our Islam from our relatives. We snuck out of our tents at night and in the dark to meet Holy Prophet. Eventually, the Holy Prophet came out with his uncle Abbas, who was still a pagan at this time. Abbas look at them and says, "Oh my nephew, I don't know any of these men." So Abbas is saying, I don't trust these people who you were meeting at night, these 70 people. And I don't feel comfortable. Because Abbas is thinking there is no senior people from Yathrib. Indeed, he knew many of them. Abbas feels a sense of loyalty out of tribalism and thinks he needs to negotiate his release to the people of Yathrib. Abbas eventually converts to Islam, but he does not come to Medina for a long time. Also, Abbas and the Prophet ﷺ were foster brothers at a similar age, so there was a strong bond of friendship. Also, Jabir says, we came in front of the Prophet ﷺ, and Abbas is the one to speak. So they came to Holy Prophet, and Abbas was taking as a spokesperson. And Abbas, out of almost embarrassment, that he cannot protect Holy Prophet. So he is very embarrassed that I can't protect, our people can't protect, and he's saying, so he said, almost embarrassment that he cannot protect Holy Prophet, that his own nephew has to leave and speak of typical tribalism, that he is noble person. He said, the Holy Prophet is an honored man. If you are sure you can live up to your protection, then protect him, then bear him. Otherwise, let him be. Realize he is honored amongst his people. Abbas is clearly not trusting them, but also embarrassed. He is trying to overcompensate. He says the Prophet has protection, but it was not true. Abbas feels infinitely embarrassed. So he says, we are great people, etc. He talks about what good he has done, even though he did very little. The people reply. So the people have heard Abbas, his story, and they're saying, hey, are you sure you want to take him? Are you able to protect him? He's nice, and Abbas is trying to convince him. He's very embarrassed that he has to do this. So the people reply, you have spoken. Let the Holy Prophet speak now. They said, Ya Rasulullah, put up the conditions. The Prophet stood up. In the middle of night, in the bleak darkness, and the cold night, the Prophet began by preaching about fearing Allah. He recited Quran. Then he said, I shall give you the bay'ah in return for Jannah, that you shall protect me like you are one of our own. If I was a part of a Khazraj. So one of the Ansar, Al-Birayra, said, we are experienced in the art of war. This is an easy condition. So they said, we are used to fighting, so we know how to protect you. That's not a problem. We'll protect you. No one will touch you. Stretch forth your hand. We will give you allegiance. Another Ansar stood up, Abu Haytham, the famous Ansar who fed the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Hazrat Umar and Abu Bakr, when they were all hungry, wandering the streets of stone tied to their stomach. He said, O Prophet, we have ties with Jews. By accepting by you, those ties will be broken. So once you come over and Allah gives us victory, will you then leave us? So now they're saying, if we give you protection and you will come over and Allah will give us victory, will you leave us? MashaAllah. He was very wise. He firmly believed that this is the messenger of Allah and one day he will be victorious. But he's saying, his fear is that once they have victory, the Prophet might go back to Mecca with a very difficult position in Medina. The Prophet says, no, my blood is your blood. My destruction is your destruction. A very beautiful phrase. The Prophet ﷺ says that he will permanently now will be with the people of Medina. They are worried about the Prophet leaving us. Note, also these are the Qahtani tribes. Remember in the beginning I talked about Qahtanis and Adnanis, so the Aus and Khazraj were Qahtanis. The Aus and Khazraj are from a totally different branch of Quraysh. They are people of Yemen. Also, once the Holy Prophet gave his word, obviously he had to live up on it. When he conquered Mecca, and he is with his entire tribe, family, all of whom have accepted Islam. And there was the house of Khadija, the house of Abu Talib, where he lived all his whole life. So when the conquest of Mecca happened, our Holy Prophet is back in Mecca, he's seeing his uncle's house, his wife's house, his tribe, his whole life. What did he do? He returned back and walked to Medina. He lived and died in Medina. The Prophet praised Ansar so much. The Prophet said, you must give the bay'ah that you hear and obey in the times of difficulty and ease. You stand in the way of Allah and command the good and forbid the evil. And you speak the truth no matter what. And that you help me when I came to Yathrib, just like you help your family. These are the political conditions along with the Islamic. Once he said, this is a voice carried out, what shall we get in return? So one said, what shall we get in return? And the Prophet said, the one word they wanted to hear. He said, you will get paradise. No money, no fame, no fortune. Paradise will be yours. And that's all they wanted to hear. They all gave by. Before anyone could embrace the Prophet ﷺ, Asad bin Zuraira held firmly on the Prophet's hand and pushed it down. Remember, Asad is one of the 6 who was the first convert. The guy housing Musa bin Umar, he said, O people of Yathrib, we haven't traveled this whole distance except that we know this man is the Prophet. And once his people expel him, then you will be asked for wars. And if you are ready to die, then give him his oath. So he's saying, now we're going to take him to Medina, and they're going to come and fight after you. So if you want to be sure, because you have to be ready to die. And realize the best of you will be killed. The fathers lose with their sons. You will cause death amongst yourselves. If you are prepared, then give him more. If not, stop now. Allah will forgive you. Meaning this is the last chance. This is the intelligence of the Asad, that he didn't want the punishment of Allah to come, and said, "O Asad, you have spoken enough." So the people said, "O Asad, you have spoken enough. Get your hand off the Prophet. We want to put it." And in return, one by one they did. So each time the Prophet directly promising Jannah. There were 72 men and 2 women. The Holy Prophet took allegiance verbally. So this is the second batch of Aqaba. So the next morning, the delegation from Quraysh went to each camp. So now the Quraysh heard that this is happening, there's something going on, there is something that they want to find out what's going on. So they will start talking to these different camps. Do you know anybody that met with this man? Did you see anything? Until finally when they went to Khazraj camp, the Quraysh said, "Who amongst you has met this man?" So the Muslim remained silent, but the pagans swayed by the Allah, they have not. So those who were, some were not converted, so they said, "We have not seen him." And the pagans of the Quraysh, Khazraj, are the ones who spoke up, and the matter was resolved. This clearly shows the Ansars are developing their iman and strength in Allah. Not only they are the ones who say, "For how long we will let the Prophet back tribes for protection? Why don't we adopt him and take him on?" Then they are the ones who volunteer. Why don't we launch an offensive attack? They are so eager to protect Prophet. Therefore, when the Battle of Badr took place, they all volunteered. Even now, the letter of the contract was only to defend Holy Prophet in Medina only. So in Bukhari, it is narrated that the Holy Prophet said, "Loving the Ansar is part of Iman." In another hadith, it says, "Hating the Ansar is a sign of hypocrisy." In another hadith, he said, "O Allah, forgive the Ansar and their children." And one of the most beautiful incidents happened at the Battle of Hunain, when the Prophet gave many of the leaders of Quraysh large amount of money. So after the Battle of Hunain, we have a lot of money, we have a lot of booty. So he was distributing all to the Qurayshi leaders, so much so that the entire valley full of sheep were given. The Ansar felt that we are the ones that fought. We did all the hardship. We gave him protection. We took him when he was in trouble. And they are all the one getting all the booty. Of course, they got a share, but it was very little. But it is up to the commander what to do with this surplus. In this instance, the Holy Prophet gave the bulk to those Qurayshi leaders whose iman was very weak, to gain their trust. What did Holy Prophet do? He called a meeting just for the Ansar. So Ansar were getting upset or a little worried. They're saying that all these Qurayshis are getting all the spoils and we're not giving, and they were murmuring. They're not openly complaining, but they were murmuring that this is unfair. Look at that, we did all the work for him, now he's successful, so he's giving it to his own people. The Holy Prophet said, and the Holy Prophet called all these Ansar and gave us such a beautiful and loving speech to them. He said, "O people of Ansar, you are not happy. These people go back with the sheep and dinar and worldly materials. You will go back with the Prophet." Amazing. Of course, after this, they all broke down in tears and they start crying in the love of the Holy Prophet. Holy Prophet said, "I will not leave you. I will be with you. I will go back with you." And these people are the ones we will left with the worldly stuff. Even after the conquest of Mecca, the Holy Prophet did not stay in Mecca. He promised them he will go back. So this is, so I have one passage from I found in the Quran where a guy named Bosworth Smith, he wrote a book called Muhammad and Muhammadism, and he talked about Holy Prophet. And I thought about sharing with you guys, and after this I will start here. So he says, the Battle of Trench perhaps constituted the hardest ordeal in the life of Holy Prophet. Whole career from that supreme test, he emerged with enhanced moral stature and prestige. In fact, it is in the time of danger, when all around is dark, and all in the hour of success and victory, when the person's enemy lies prostrate at his feet, with his real mettle is tested, the history began eloquent testimony to the fact that the Holy Prophet was a great, noble in times of distress, as he was in the time of hour of success. The Battle of Trench, the Battle of Uhud, and Hunain shed a flood of light on the how one beautiful facet of his life, his character. The fall of Mecca on the other part. The peril and danger did not discourage or dismay him, nor could victory or success spoil him. When he left almost alone on the day of Hunain, with the fate of Islam hanging in the balance, he fearlessly and single-handedly advanced into the enemy's ranks with the memorable word on his lips. He says, I am the prophet of God. I am not telling lie. I am the son of Abdul Muttalib. And when Prophet fell, the whole of Arabia lay prostrate in his feet. Absolute and undisputed power did not fail him or corrupt him. He showed unparalleled magnanimity to his enemies. What greater testimony there could possibly be to the Holy Prophet's nobility of character than the fact that those who were nearest to him and knew him most, loved him most, and were the first to believe in his mission. His dear wife Khadija, his lifelong friend Abu Bakr, his cousin and son-in-law Ali, his freed slave Zaid. The Prophet was in humanity's noblest specimen, a perfect model in beauty and beneficence. In all the various facets of his variegated life and character, he stands unrivaled, an excellent example for man to copy and to follow. His whole life lies before the floodlight of history. He started life as an orphan child, ended by being the arbitrator of the destinies of the whole nations, of the whole world. As a boy, he was a sedate and dignified, and at the threshold of youth, he was a perfect example of moral virtue, righteousness, and sobriety. In the middle age, he won the title of Al-Amin and Al-Sadiq, and as a businessman, he proved himself to be the most honest and scrupulous. He married ladies, both much older and much younger than himself, and all of them swore by his faithfulness and loved him and his godliness. As a father, he was the most affectionate. As a friend, he was the most loyal and considerate. When entrusted with the great and difficult task of reforming a corrupt society, and subjected to prosecution and exile, he bore it all with dignity and decorum. He fought as a soldier, commanded armies, he faced defeat and won victories. He legislated and decided cases. He was a statesman, he was a teacher, he was a leader of men, head of the state as well as the church. He was a Caesar and a pope in one, but he was a pope without the pope's pretensions. He was a Caesar without legion of Caesar, without standing army, without a bodyguard, without a palace, without a fixed revenue. If ever any man had the right to say that he ruled by the right divine, it was Muhammad. For he had all the powers without his instruments, without his support. He would do his household work with his own hands. He would sleep on a leather mat. His menu was considered of date and water or barley bread. After having done full day of multifarious duties, he would spend the hours of night in prayers and supplication till his feet get swollen. No man under so vastly changed the circumstances and conditions of the whole world had he changed in so little time. It's written in the book Muhammad and Muhammadanism by Bosworth Smith. I'll stop here.